Hello again YouTube, it's John, the old geek, and it's high time I did something that's not D&D related. So for today's video, I'm going to take a look at a Call of Cthulhu product, an adventure that was written back at the beginning of 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, the scenario entitled Deadlight. Deadlight is written by Alan Bly for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition and was published in 2013. I'm reviewing the original release, though it has since been revised and reissued as part of Deadlight and Other Dark Turns, along with a new adventure entitled Saturnine Chalice. From reading comments about the reissue, it does seem that some of the criticisms that I will highlight in this video have already been addressed with the reissue, so bear that in mind. The original Deadlight is one of the first Cthulhu scenarios I ever ran. I had dabbled with the game as a player for 4 or 5 years before I tried my hand as a keeper, and I've not looked back since then. This version of the scenario came as an attractive 32-page booklet. I have my copy here. There it is. Adorned with a suitably spooky piece of cover art. But when opened, it is disappointing that so much of the page count feels like fluff. Of the 32 pages, only pages 3 to 18 are specific story material. The rest consists of large full-page spreads for each of the NPCs and copious notes on converting between editions of the Call of Cthulhu game, along with 3 pages of adverts. Yes, it's padding, and that's largely because the adventure itself is rather short. Deadlight centres on a stormy night in the woods outside Arkham, though it could easily be substituted for a forested location in any part of the world, as there is nothing that really ties it into Arkham. The investigators are trying to make their way home by car, their progress being hampered by the conditions outside, such as the ferocity of the storm. Suddenly, a young girl runs into the road and a sordid tale begins to unfold. The plot of Deadlight isn't particularly original, apart from the unsavoury twist at the end. But it does work, especially as an introductory scenario for relatively inexperienced keepers and players. The NPC characters that are involved are varied and interesting, and kept to a suitable number, making it easy for the keeper to keep track of. The scenario is also nicely confined to a small area. Yes, the storm is a well-used trope, but it does a good job of ensuring the action stays focused. Where this scenario really shines, though, is the ease with which it can be adapted or dropped into a game at almost any time. That's also why it works so well as a campaign introduction. The only background you need is a reason for the investigators to be travelling between 2 places. That's it. As the main foe is not tied into the mythos, no knowledge of Lovecraft's work is needed either. It also gets a survival horror tone just right. The variety of NPCs, some pleasant, some gross, provides the keeper with an ideal number of red shirts with which to demonstrate the power of the Deadlight, and thus the desperate nature of their situation. They might not shed a tear when the drunken lout Jake gets consumed, but if the lovable elderly Teddy and Winifred get reduced to mush, then that's altogether more disturbing. Now, Deadlight may be a short scenario. I've run it a few times and typically found it to last 5 or 6 hours, but it's an entertaining and exciting one. It's also more than a little frustrating, though, suffering from a problem that blights far too many Call of Cthulhu scenarios. One where florid writing seems to be considered more important than general functionality. The layout of the adventure is horribly disjointed. There's no summary, no expected event timeline, no index and no handouts. Highly frustrating when so much space is wasted on adverts, conversion notes and oversized NPC profiles. I know some of these have been corrected with a more recent release. This needed to happen. Take for example in this adventure. The stats for the Deadlight itself are in the back, but descriptions of what it does are at the front, and you end up having to flip between the two to sort of make it cohesive. It's a little bit frustrating. They could have done with having it all together. But there is a good reason why the edited reissue needed to happen. As far as entertaining one-shot adventures, campaign starters, or introductions for new players go, Deadlight is one of the best adventures I've come across in my short time playing Call of Cthulhu. The balance of NPCs and the way the tension builds as the scenario progresses are absolutely spot on. The story itself is straightforward and shocking, which is what a Cthulhu adventure really needs to be. It's perfect for a stormy night spent gaming, even if you have to spend a few frustrating evenings beforehand piecing things together because of the lack of cohesion in the way it's written. I think Deadlight is a great little scenario. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 because even though it is a little bit short, it really does provide a lot of entertainment. Yeah, the version I have was in desperate need of proper editing and reorganisation, but it looks like Chaosium have done that now. So I highly recommend you buy the reissue, because if the accompanying scenario that comes with it is even half as good as Deadlight, then it's a great package. Well, this review has, like this adventure, been quite short, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Do click a like and a subscribe because, as I always say, that helps the channel get noticed. And until next time, this is the Old Geek saying good night.